Natalie, and in this video I'm going to show you how to make my version of chocolate chip cookies. So, what we're going to start out with is a 4th cup of grapeseed oil, and I like grapeseed oil because it doesn't have a strong flavor like olive oil does. So, I don't know, I've noticed that when you put that in baked goods, it just has a very interesting taste to it. So, we'll start with the grapeseed oil. And do 4th cup. And then we're going to add our 1 egg. And then we will add a tablespoon of maple syrup. And so I know maple syrup has sugar in it, so I don't use a ton of it, but I do like the flavoring of it. And you can buy maple flavoring, like vanilla extract flavoring, but it's really strong. And one time I used way too much of it and it was really overpowering, so I just use this. Okay, so once we add the oil, the maple syrup, and the egg, we're just going to blend that together. Okay, and next we're going to add our vanilla extract, and I like to do like 2 teaspoons of it because I think it adds really good flavor. It's 2. And then a 3rd cup of xylitol. And actually I think in my blog I say a 4th cup, but it sort of depends on the kind of chocolate that I use. If I use like a lower percent of cocoa, I usually do like less xylitol. But if I do more, like a higher percent of cocoa, then it's usually then I use like closer to a 3rd cup of xylitol. So that's probably close to a 1/3. And then I'll add the baking soda and the salt, and it's easy because it's equal parts. So a 4th teaspoon of baking soda and a 4th teaspoon of salt. And a lot of people, like in the recipes, they say like, oh, like Himalayan pink salt or Celtic sea salt. I don't really know what much of the difference is, so I just use regular salt, like the little girl with the umbrella, the Morton salt. Okay, so mix that in. And then we're going to add our almond flour. And in the flaxseed video, I mentioned that you can get like coconut flour in bulk, and you can actually now get almond flour in bulk. So, again, I don't like advertising Sam's Club, but it really does help because a lot of this stuff is pretty expensive. So, when you're a poor college student like me, it helps. So, we'll add a 1 1/4 cups of almond flour. And mix that in. So almond flour has more of a consistency of regular flour. So with coconut flour, you usually want to let it sit for a while because it absorbs a lot of the moisture. But almond flour doesn't do that same thing. It's not as absorptive. So just be aware of that when you're adding it. Next, we're going to add a half cup of unsweetened shredded coconut. And you can pretty much get this anywhere if you look for it. Just make sure it's unsweetened. And then we'll add the half cup of walnuts. These are optional, but I highly recommend them because walnuts have really good flavor. So when you put them in cookies, they're really yummy. So I'll just add them. And mix that together. Okay, so after you mix all of that in, we're going to add in the chocolate. And I unfortunately haven't found any chocolate chips that are really, really dark chocolate, like 85% cocoa powder. So I just have to buy like bars and chop them up. So I've done that previously. So we'll just add that in. And instead of using a mixer, I just stir it in with a spoon so that they don't get too chopped up, because we still want them in chunks. So we'll just mix that around. Just make sure that the chocolate is evenly spread so you don't have some cookies with lots of chocolate and some without. That looks good. And then we're going to get our baking sheet. And in the flaxseed video, I used olive oil to oil the pan. But you can pretty much use any oil. Actually, I think coconut oil works the best. So, or at least that's what I found. Okay, so then you'll just want to make the dough into balls that are about, I don't know, like an inch wide or so. Just kind of roll it around. And they are going to be kind of sticky, so if that's how yours are, just don't worry about it. That's how they're supposed to be. And your hands are going to get pretty messy, but that's okay, it'll be worth it. So after you make the balls, I usually pat them down just a little bit because they won't much on their own because they're kind of stiff. So I just usually push them down with the palm of my hand just a little bit. Okay, so once you have the cookies patted, we'll put them in the oven for, let's see, about 8 minutes if you want chewy cookies, but closer to 9 or 10 minutes if you want them a little bit harder. So we'll start at 8 and see what they look like when they come out. Okay, so the cookies are done. So they'll be a little bit brown. And then I would immediately take them off with a spatula and put them on a cooling rack if you have one, so that they can cool and not continue to cook on the pan. So I hope you enjoy these as much as I do.